Hey Scorpio, this is going to be your 2025 prediction. We're going to go through all of the major transits of the year, and I'm going to give you an idea of kind of what you can expect for your sign. Of course, you want to check your rising sun and moon as well to some degree, but especially rising and sun. Now, of course, your own personal natal chart is going to play a big role in this. So always getting a personal reading with me is always a great idea. You can book a reading with me at calmspirit.com, KALM, like my last name, spirit.com. All right, so let's jump into some of the major transits. So we start out the year with a Mars retrograde. It starts out retrograde in Leo, but it quickly re-enters Cancer, which is where it will spend most of its retrograde. It will re-enter Leo April 18th. However, we'll really feel this for the first half of the year because it will still be going over the path of which it retrograded. So I would say really this characterizes the whole first half of the year. So Leo here rules your 10th house. So it's starting out in the 10th house and retrograding back into the 9th house. So I think that for a lot of Scorpios, you guys are really focused on wanting to re-strategize your career somehow. Maybe you want to just make some major change to your work life. I feel like you feel really motivated to do so. I think part of the reason you're motivated to do so is some sort of pressure here going on because it opposes Pluto in your fourth house several times here throughout that. So there might be some tension around your family life for some reason. Maybe you feel motivated to switch up your career to improve your family life, or maybe your family just kind of like disagrees with what you're doing, doesn't approve of the changes that you're trying to make. Maybe I can see that as well. Or if you don't, if you're a single Scorpio, then maybe this is more like you feel a deep internal pressure as you are shifting things on like a foundational level in your life, or you're feeling called to do that. And part of that is wanting to change your career. I would say overall, a lot of Scorpios have felt kind of stuck in their career here for a while. Looking at some of the other kind of transits they've been going through. So I think that that's probably a big part of it generally. Is that you guys have felt pretty like stuck in certain situations and you're kind of you're just doing what you can to get unstuck now. So I see that big motivation throughout the first part of the year, especially here with that Mars retrograde. Now, most of that retrograde is actually in your ninth house. So I think that this could actually be a really good time here in the beginning part of the year for you to sort of just focus on make changes and improve how you promote yourself. So maybe updating your CV or resume. Maybe this is getting a new certification of some kind, or changing like an online profile maybe, or something. Um, there might be something that you can study here really quickly that will help elevate your career quite a bit as well, is kind of what I pick up, being that it's in the ninth house. Um, you also with Mars retrograding back through your ninth house, might be traveling here in the beginning part of the year, or you could benefit from doing so, or you might really just want to um as well. But yeah, overall I see you really more than anything else just seem really motivated to build your career or make a major change to it. You seem just satisfied with it, is what I pick up, to be honest, more than anything else. And I think that's honestly, unfortunately, going to continue throughout this year, like seeing a couple of the other transits that you have going on here. Um, Venus is also going to retrograde this year. So we have both Mars and Venus retrograding this year. That's not usual. Usually it's only one or the other. So that kind of is not fun, but that just means that it's going to be a year where a lot of us are kind of revisiting old themes or feeling introspective in some way, depending on where that all lands for us, right? So the Venus retrograde this year is really only happening between March 1st and April 12th. However, it is starting a very significant pattern that Venus makes when it does its retrogrades that looks like a star. And it's just started a new pattern here. So this is a unusually significant Venus retrograde. So we're really going to feel this, I think, throughout that first half of the year there as well. Arguably all year for that one. Now, given the signs that it's in, is going to start out in your sixth house and retrograde back into your fifth house. So I think a lot of you guys feel like you need to stand up for yourself regarding maybe your routines or your work that you're doing here. A lot of you guys maybe have felt or do feel like there is a lot of tension around that subject for some reason. Some of you guys could be getting into some sort of confrontation here as well at work or because of work. So do be really aware of that. Um, Also, I do definitely sense a big confrontation out of this. So some of you guys might be maybe visiting an old coworker or an old job opportunity, or you could benefit from doing so. Um, I think a lot of you guys, it would really you would really benefit from maybe revisiting old uh business ideas that you've had or projects that you've worked on or something like that. This could be a really good year for a lot of you guys to revisit that actually and see what you can do about the untapped potential there. And part of the reason I say that is because we also have three Mercury retrogrades this year. We have three Mercury retrogrades every year, but for you this year, they are, well, for everybody, they're primarily in fire signs. Fire signs for you represent your second, sixth, and 10th houses, which are all money, career related houses. So I do think a lot of Scorpios, yeah, are going back or maybe like reworking their finances. Maybe some of you guys are restructuring a loan or a debt or something, or maybe some of you might be downsizing too, or trying to get rid of stuff, or really just taking a look at sort of your financial situation and like how can I switch things up and change this a little bit um for you as well. But this could be a good energy for you to also go back to maybe like an old colleague, maybe like hit up one of your old coworkers and grab coffee with them or something like that, or just check in with people, or maybe even check in on like maybe you applied for a job a long time ago and you never heard anything. This could be a good year for you to reapply to that same place or follow up with a recruiter. You get what I mean? There could be some untapped opportunities for you in those areas that would be worth exploring again here this year. Um, I think some of you guys may also find that you get some unexpected money related to a job with that Venus retrograde. So for some of you guys, this could be maybe a bonus that you never got, even as far back as last May. Um, or maybe it was a contract you never got paid for or something like that. I could see some of that unexpectedly coming through for some of you guys here, especially around March. um as well. So Neptune and Saturn are also shifting signs this year together into Aries. So Neptune will enter first. Neptune will enter Aries on March 30th, and then Saturn will enter on May 24th, and they meet up in the sky in what's called a conjunction there and on June 15th. What's interesting is that they actually retrograde back out of this sign back into Pisces and re-enter again into Aries in 2026. So what we're about to talk about that you are going to go through this year, you're going to re-experience this next year also. Okay. Now, for my Scorpios, you guys have already been going through Saturn and Neptune together. And Saturn and Neptune have already been together in Pisces throughout 2024. But for you, that was more so fifth house related. Oh, so you had Neptune going through your fifth house for some time. So for a lot of Scorpios, dating has been weird. Okay. So with Neptune going through your fifth house, which it has been, like I said, for some time now, a lot of you guys may have had kind of whirlwind romances that maybe didn't pan out the way that you expected. For some of you, it did. For some of you guys actually might be married to that person now. But for others of you, depending on how this lands in your personal chart, um, for some of you guys, this might have been more about having a lot of relationships in which they aren't really what they seem, or like people not being honest with you about something or lying, or maybe there's just a misunderstanding about something, or just things didn't turn out how you expected um as well. Okay. Now for the past couple of years, you had Saturn there also. So for the past almost 2 years, you've been going through dealing with it kind of feels like you can't really have fun. Like it's hard to relax. It's hard to enjoy yourself. That doesn't mean you've never had fun during this whole time. I'm sure you have, but maybe you just feel like it's been harder to um laugh again, or like harder to enjoy the things that you have once enjoyed. I think you've been on a journey here over the last couple of years where you do feel a lot more serious or a lot more pressure. For some of you guys, this could be that you've had a kid during that time frame and now you have that responsibility, or maybe you've just had responsibilities regarding children increase during that time frame. For others, this could be that you got a new job that is just like a grind and you can't really like enjoy yourself as well. For others, this is just feeling lonely. Like you can't, like a longing for like a person or a dating, like a soulmate, but not knowing like where to find such a person, or feeling like cut off from such a person. Again, all depends on your individual natal chart, how that plays out, but those are all manifestations I could imagine. That's what you've already been going through. These two are now going to start shifting into your sixth house. Here, like I said, starting around like April and May. Okay. This is going to put a lot of pressure on you to feel like you need to organize your life better. The good side of this is that this should make those other things a little easier for you. So, in the reference to like, it'll be easier for you to enjoy yourself and have fun and, meet the right person and, or reinvigorate your relationship and so on and so forth. And I'm going to talk about that more when we get to the nodes, because we have the North Node entering that house. But so the good news is that that will dissipate. However, now it's going to really shift to feeling like your schedule just kind of sucks. Okay. And it's unfortunate because I think a lot of you guys already feel kind of like overworked, and unsure about your career trajectory or something like that. Um, or what's next for you. Like I can see some Scorpios maybe have retired and are like, what do I do now? For some Scorpios, it's more like, I just don't feel it in this job anymore, or uh what job, or wondering what a job is going to align more with like the lifestyle that you want. For example, right? These are just examples. Um you've kind of already been going through this, but this is actually going to really get kind of worse, honestly, throughout this year. I think you're going to feel throughout, especially starting around like May here, so that last half of the year, like a lack of direction about what you should do actually, in regards to like even just your day-to-day life. Like it's going to be kind of more difficult for you to get little tasks done. So if you have like a bunch of errands to do and like paperwork to file and taxes to file and all that kind of stuff, definitely do that before like March even or April, especially not April. So like you got really that first 3 months to make sure that that stuff gets filed and you start processing it, because it's going to become such a headache with Saturn and Neptune being in your sixth house. This could also bring up maybe like little health issues here for you as well. So for some of you guys, you might just be getting more serious about your health, right? Like maybe some of you guys just want to go work out more, or you are considering going on a new dietary routine or something. For others of you, it's more work related, and you're kind of more coming from this angle of like, what is the best way for me to structure my day so that I'm productive at work, for example. So maybe you want to make updates to like your home office, or um download a new calendar app or something, you know what I mean? Like these are kind of the things that I could imagine on how like this would transpire, or it would benefit you from really looking at it from that angle, because I think a lot of you guys are going to feel a sense of disorientation actually around, it's almost like you have ADHD even if you don't during this year, honestly. I feel like you're going to feel like, okay, what do I do next? You know what I mean? Is really the feeling that I get, like, just in your general day to day. So trying to stay on top of that and stay organized is what Saturn is kind of like calling you to do there. Um, I also feel like you're going to feel underappreciated. Like you have people that are more critical of your work or demanding of your work. So it's going to still feel kind of like a grind for you this year, unfortunately, when it comes to work. I know you feel really motivated to make shifts and changes here to your career. We talked about that in the beginning there with that Mars retrograde. Um, I think that you'll start to see that shift here at the end of this year, but you'll especially see that in 2026, if I'm being totally honest with you. Um, so understand that you are on a journey when it comes to developing that, okay? I think that you are going to be in a decent place of stability here overall, especially that last half of the year when Uranus gets out of this house. Although a lot of you seem to feel kind of unstable in a way. It's like with Pluto first entering your fourth, we're going to talk about that at the end, so I don't want to say too much, but that's definitely bringing up this idea of like, where do I belong? What is home really? And all of that. So a lot of Scorpios are kind of in their head with that this year as well. But in regards to that Saturn and Neptune here going through the sixth house, um, I would say one piece of advice that I kind of have here is to say that you should think about the kinds of jobs and places and just stuff that you're generally doing, things that are a part of your daily life. Um, Ask if they're really aligned to your spiritual nature. Like, try to find clients or jobs that are more aligned to the kind of impact that you want to make in the world. So that's what you want to think about this year when it comes to career, if that applies to you, a business, if that applies to you, or maybe this is just what legacy am I leaving behind, right? If career isn't your priority. I think it's one of those things though for you guys this year that you're like feel motivated to try to develop and um see progress with, but this year I think there's a bit of soul searching involved there of trying to kind of understand more about um what is more spiritually aligned to you. um I feel like you are the underlying issue, not the underlying issue, but part of the underlying issue I think is that you're actually feeling kind of called towards something. Neptune feels like a longing, like I'm longing for something. And so to see it in the sixth, I feel like you guys are kind of longing for um meaning or purpose to what you do, or like a career that really is solid and makes sense for you. Um or a legacy or project, right? And so I would say spend this year really getting clear on that, because in 2026 Jupiter will go into your 10th house and that will bring a lot of opportunities your way. So you want to set yourself up to magnify the benefits of that as much as possible ahead of time. But over the course of this year, just try to take a practical approach to your general work, and allow yourself to really take it slow and just pay attention to your well-being and like your general health as you go about this, because I do feel like this could drain you this year. Sorry, I wish I had better news on that one. Jupiter is also going to be shifting signs. So Jupiter is in Gemini at the beginning of the year, and it will switch into Cancer in June. So that rules your eighth and your ninth house. So Jupiter was already in Gemini throughout 2024. This could bring really great support to you through other people, actually. So with Jupiter through the eighth, it's a really good time for you to ask for any kind of help, even especially like financial help. So maybe asking for a loan, or maybe like filing your taxes, or applying for like a mortgage or something. All really good stuff. A spouse's income could also increase during this time, or you could see some um, progress there. Okay. If that is relevant to you as well. But this is also the house of our deeper psychological makeup. So for I love to see Jupiter here actually, because this is a darker house. Usually this is like a more difficult house for placements to be, but Jupiter is a benefic, and he kind of brings the best out of what he touches. Okay, so to see him in the eighth house tells me that this is a really good year also for especially the first part of the year. It's a really good time for you to really dive into your psychological makeup and overcome any kind of blockages that have been holding you back at all, especially blockages when it comes to a business maybe that you've been trying to develop, or blockages when it comes to falling in love or in romance or something, um or a blockage regarding um I said business, I said romance, children is the other one. So so for some of you guys throughout 2024, you were experiencing some expansion opportunities when it came to, you know, developing intimacy, or starting a project through with another person. Maybe you have a spouse that you were working on a project or a business with, for example, or something, right? Um, you were starting to see some movement there, but then it was being challenged by Saturn out of the fifth. saying like throughout 2024, um, kind of pressing you to get realistic about those things. And kind of showing you that there are certain restrictions needed in order for it to be successful so that it's not like not like it has been in the past. Like maybe you had times in the past where you were developing those things, but they kind of like failed out somehow or something. And so Saturn was pressuring you throughout 2024 and in the very beginning of 2025 here to see um, some things about your psychological makeup that might have to do with your early childhood here or healing your inner child here, that was actually holding you back and preventing you from enjoying yourself and having fun. That was preventing you from falling in love deeply and authentically. That was preventing you from having good relationships with your kids or launching a business and so on and so forth. Next year is going to be a lot. This year is going to be a lot better for that. Okay. In 2025, especially once these switch signs for you, which will be that last half of the year. Okay. In that last half of the year, Jupiter is then going to switch over into your ninth house. And that's going to be really great when it comes to um, kind of expanding on something. I feel like a lot of Scorpios have felt really held back. And you're going to start to see more progress in whatever it is that you have felt held back about on the last half of this year. So, last thing I do want to say about Jupiter in the eighth, the first part of the year is also a good time for you to just delve into yourself psychologically generally. So it's a good time of the year for you to maybe get readings or go to therapy or something like that, right? Um, as well. But that last half of the year, starting in June, when Jupiter does go into your ninth house, Cancer, that'll be also a good time for you to deal with any kind of like outstanding paperwork that you have. Although it does seem like it's going to become a bit of a pain here when Saturn and Neptune go into. I have a feeling that a lot of you guys are, if you do have any kind of like paperwork issues going on, I feel like it's going to drag out kind of like throughout a lot of the year. Like you're going to have to revisit it a lot or be asked to do a lot with it or something like that, if I'm being honest. Um, but with that said, Jupiter in the ninth house is a really good time to just expand in the direction that you're really trying to go. The ninth house is about our ultimate destiny and path that we are trying to get to. So Jupiter here tells me that you are starting to really get on the right path here, especially by that last half of the year. A lot of you guys will probably be moving as well. The time frame for that depends on your individual chart, but for most of you guys, it'll be probably starting this summer into the last half of the year. Some of you guys may also be approaching maybe like a new area of study, or it would be good for you to do so. Like I said, you have Jupiter going into your 10th there in 2026. So take advantage of Jupiter through the ninth here by really upping, just revamping yourself and how you promote yourself. Okay. So for some of you guys, it might benefit you maybe to get an extra certification in something or to take another class. For some of you guys, this might just be updating your CV or your resume or something like that. Um, kind of what we talked about earlier with that Mars retrograde I see playing out here too with Jupiter. So this is really highlighted for you for this year. I feel like this is almost like a glow up year for you. I really do. I feel like this is like your glow up year, actually. I do think you'll have some frustrating hurdles when it comes to that paperwork, if you do have any paperwork that you're working on, honestly. So I would say, like I said, get it started in the beginning of the year there, if you can. I have a feeling it won't end there, though. Honest. So Uranus is starting out in your seventh house, and then it'll be shifting into your eighth house. This is yet another outer planet that is switching signs this year. So Uranus has been in Taurus for the last 7 years already. So he's been there since 2018. So that part won't be new for you. But then Uranus will briefly visit Gemini from July to November. And this will give us a taste of what that transit will be like when Uranus enters Gemini for next year in 2026 for that full 7 years. So the first part of the year, you're going to go through still that sense of instability when it comes to partnership. Okay. So since 2018, a lot of you guys have had a lot of major ups and downs when it comes to partnership. So maybe you had someone like suddenly come into your life and then suddenly leave your life. Some of you guys might still be with that person. Like I said earlier, I think there are probably some of you that managed to and stay with that person through that time frame, but have just found them to be kind of have ups and downs themselves, maybe, right? Like maybe they've been unreliable in some way. Or there's also going to be about business partnerships and other types of agreements and arrangements with people. Like maybe you have found that business partnerships and agreements have been very touch and go, um, very up and down and unpredictable. You will experience that again through the first part of the year here, but that'll start to change over the summer as it shifts into the eighth house. Um, this can bring unexpected income for some of you guys, actually, when it goes into that eighth house. So look out for July to November when it comes to unexpected income. Maybe you get money in from like a, I don't know, inheritance or something that you've been waiting on for some time. Some sort of payments come through, or maybe your spouse starts to do really well. For some people, that could be a more difficult experience because the eighth house can be the house of death and loss, unfortunately. So for some of you guys, you are going to be losing somebody during this transit. But this is only it's short visit. It's going to visit for 7 years starting next year. So I think it's more likely that if a loss is related to this transit, that it will happen more likely in that 7 year transit and not just this short little stint. But I will be honest, for some of you guys, it will happen in that short little stint. So book a reading with me if you want to know how that'll play out in your specific chart. But this is going to be also kind of like a spicy time for a lot of you guys, because I think as Uranus comes into the eighth house, you kind of like want to explore different things sexually here as well. So that could be really interesting for you there. You might have some really unexpected, unusual experiences in that way, or just in regards to intimacy as well. The eighth house can be associated with the occult and paranormal as well. So some of you guys will actually have almost like a paranormal experience or something. Maybe you'll see a ghost or something. Or you might start delving into the occult, maybe, or you could benefit from doing so. Actually. Be careful though. Uranus is very unpredictable, so just be like very careful and aware of like this. Like I feel like you could be really powerful in the sense of the occult, but it could go awry like very easily. So be very cautious with that. If I'm being honest, I don't know if that's worth playing with. Um, a lot of you guys could get pregnant this year as well. So if that's not something you're trying to do, be aware of that. Okay, this is definitely very possible, very unexpectedly as well. Um, so be aware, because I can see that coming up, especially in the last half of the year for you as well. Honestly, a lot of you guys do seem like you're getting deep into a relationship or reviving a relationship. Also, maybe you had a relationship that's kind of been a little dry lately with Saturn. I feel like it's been kind of dry romantically for Scorpios. Um, if I'm being honest, over the last year even, but that'll start to shift, especially in May. Okay. So one of the last transits we're going to talk about is the Pluto transit. So Pluto is also very significant this year because it did already shift signs into Aquarius last year in 2024. However, it is at the very early degree of Aquarius right now, and that means it's triggering where the Grand Conjunction happened in 2020. So the Grand Conjunction was when Jupiter and Saturn met up in the sky. They do that every 20 years. However, it is significant when they do because it marks the beginning of a 20-year-long process in which you will unfold some major purpose in your life. So for you, that major purpose had to do with your inner mindset, your subconscious mind, becoming powerful, embracing who you truly are, and also creating a home and family life that is authentic to you, and it is a general. I feel like a lot of you guys are like generational curse breakers or something actually with this one. But anyway, Pluto is now in your fourth house. So this is likely really changing your whole life dramatically. So a bunch of you guys are going to be moving, or I think this has already been brewing for a lot of you guys, even since like 2023, honestly, because Pluto did briefly enter and then leave Aquarius during that time. So I think this has already been brewing for a lot of you guys, and this isn't surprising for most of you. But I also think that a lot of you guys are in this headspace where you're questioning like, what is home really? Where do I belong? And how do I build that? Um, is generally what I see. I feel like you are like disoriented. So like for example, maybe some of you did move and now you're just like, okay, how do I fit in here? That's one example that I could see, right? So some variation of that, or maybe you just has a major shift and change to your family dynamic or your domestic life in some way over this time. So you are ultimately, though, you're feeling this sense of shift and change regarding kind of the foundations of your domestic personal life. Um, and this is kind of putting you into a state of disarray in a way. Okay. Um, this is happening with the purpose of helping you connect with your subconscious mind, and a lot of the themes that are coming up are probably related to a theme that affected your development of your subconscious mind in your very early childhood. I'm talking before you even had memory or even from a past life. So this is a really good year for you to dig deep here, maybe get like a past life regression or a regression into early childhood, or of course you can always get readings with me. Or see a real therapist, also an option. But my point is like this is a good year for you to really try to connect the dots on what it is that's really coming up for you, because I think for a lot of you guys there is a toxic family pattern or dynamic that this transit is trying to expose to you so that you can release it and break that for your own children, or at least for yourself. And then therefore develop a stronger core foundation that doesn't have that as a part of it. That's a big aspect of what I see happening to you guys. For a lot of you, this is going to bring up major tensions with your family. So some of you guys could end up getting into some conflicts with family members here, even during this transit. And that's really going to be in play most of the year, especially the first half of the year, though. I see that um as well. So again, all of those things that are coming up are really happening in order for you to really assess them. This is also a good time for you to like look at your ancestry or where you come from or anything like that too as well. The last thing I want to talk about is the North Node shift. So we have our North Node shifting into Pisces as well. This is where all the eclipses happen, or the North and the South Node. So all our eclipses are going to happen in Pisces and Virgo in 2025. Now, Pisces rules your fifth house. So this puts our North Node in the fifth house and our South Node in the 11th house. So like I said earlier, a lot of you guys are going to be connecting with a soulmate this year, or furthering a relationship, a very significant relationship. Um, I feel like a lot of you guys are meeting a totally new person who's a soulmate, actually. But for some of you guys that are already married, this could be about maybe reinvigorating a relationship somehow. Like I said, especially after this kind of dry period of Saturn moving through here. Um, I can see this especially happening, like I said, around like May. So it does feel like a lot of you Scorpios do make a major shift to your home and domestic life that really like betters me. Like that's one way I could see it play out. Maybe you do, maybe you are married, but there's just been a lot of tension around you guys generally. And it's kind of killing the romance, you know? It seems like you do make a shift and a change. So this is part of what's motivating you, actually. I just realized part of what's motivating you is that you want to have better relationships with people. For some of you guys, you want to make these shifts and changes in part because you're motivated to find your soulmate or fall in love again. For some of you guys, you want to make all these shifts happen because you want to reconnect with your family or with your spouse or what have you, right? So if you are already with somebody, this doesn't mean you're going to meet somebody new. Okay, this could be that you're have just had a dry period with that person, and this is going to start to get a lot better. So like I said, I think you do seem really motivated to make a change, and it seems like you do that. I think you actually achieve it. Good job, Scorpio. So I think you actually do make the shift and change that you feel pressured to make at the beginning of the year, and you really start to see the dividends of that around the middle of the year, like May and June. Okay, then it starts to really shift into this other space for you. The fifth house is also the house of children. So like I said earlier, dude, if you don't want a baby, you better watch it. A lot of you guys are going to be having kids this year or getting pregnant or something this year as well. I really see this about you as you like kind of healing your inner child, though. North Node through the fifth is a really great time for you to let go of kind of like, I don't know why I'm picking up that a lot of you guys may have had like a domineering person in your life when you were younger. A lot of Scorpios do. Okay. Scorpio is the sign that really goes through it when it comes to power dynamics. Okay. They deal with a lot of people trying to overpower them and overshadow them in like really crappy ways. So I get the feeling that you might be one of those people that has gone through that in your early life, this sort of like domineering emperor card type of vibe. Um, and this year you start to, and I think that you've been feeling that especially over the past couple of years, but you start to really see that dissipate as you have North Node enter here. And this is really about releasing that inner, that domineering, maybe it could be a parent, maybe, or something, right? Maybe you had a domineering parent or something, or just like expectations on you that we're holding you back from having fun just for the sake of it, like just to do it. Like, it doesn't matter if it makes money, it doesn't matter if it's good, like just to do it. And when you get back into that energy, you're going to start to revive old hobbies and things that you enjoyed. Maybe you did them before, or maybe it's related to something you've done before. Um, so I do see you rediscovering old hobbies there. And I see you really healing your inner child through this process and really being able to access this sense of fun and love and enjoyment again. Um, and that's really, I'm super happy for you on that one, definitely, because I feel like you guys have been really through it on just kind of these more serious, intense notes. So relationships vastly improve for you this year. You are one of those people that is definitely the case. Now, with South Node going through the 11th, a lot of you guys are going to see major shifts in regards to your network groups or friends. So again, a lot of you guys are probably moving literally. Because I could see this playing out like you move somewhere and now you got to make all new friends. Like you now don't have that same network of people in there, right? A lot of you guys are really starting to grow, are going to grow more and more distant from people that you considered your friend group, okay? That you considered your kind of where you belong or networking group or something like that. I see you sort of distancing from that more so. Especially the first part of the year here, I see you in this energy that's sort of this like aimlessness, like where do I belong? It's like you have this like strong longing for something. And you're just kind of aimlessly like, where do I find that? Like, where is home? Where is this person? Where is peace? Where is my happiness? The peace and happiness is going to unfold and develop over time for you as you make the changes that you do. And obviously those changes are going to be different for every person. So you're going to have to book a reading with me on that one. Sorry. But overall, what I will say is that the changes that you're feeling pressured to make are really going to guide you towards your soul family, your soulmate, the family you're meant to have. I think that have been going through a state of like kind of tearing things apart or changing up things. And know that I just want you to know that this isn't an effort to bring you where your heart really is, where you really want to be, and where you're going to actually find the peace that you're really looking for. And that's not just saying it won't be bumpy, okay? I was honest with you. I think that there are some things about your work life you're not going to love. Maybe you have some difficult clients or annoying paperwork or whatever. Like that'll definitely, I'm not going to say that it's all like over and done here, but I do think that you're going to see a lot of progress over the course of this year, especially that last half of the year of really um finding the peaceful home and love that you are looking for. So I hope this helped. Well, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. If this matches up with what you are expecting this year, let me know. I wish you the best of luck. You can always book a reading with me at calmspirit.com. Calm like KALM, just like my last name, spirit.com, for readings and classes and all that good stuff. And take a look at how this will really affect you specifically, obviously. But always and forever, I wish you guys the best and the best year, and good luck.